Hi, it's Professor Revito again, and we're working on the skills for hands-on exercise 4 in chapter 2 on this particular video. Now, what hands-on exercise 4 deals with is range names. We're working with very small spreadsheets, but if you get very, very large spreadsheets, you may easily forget the cell addresses of where your stuff is stored. You're much more likely to remember a name. For example, this could be a rate table, okay? And that would be perfectly acceptable. Now, if we go over here, let me drop this down, you'll see that there are several range names already put in here. So if I click average land cost, notice that I come back over to the first page. The range names are no matter what, they're for the entire workbook, not just each spreadsheet, okay? So, but I'm going to come back over here because I'm going to create one for the rate table. Okay, now the first thing I'm going to do is highlight what I want to have here. So I'm going to highlight E4 to F6, and that's our table. Notice I do not pick up the two title things here because that would mess the table up. Okay, now I'm going to come over here to the name box and I'm going to type in rates. Okay, alright, so I'm going to come back over here to that page and I'm going to click here, and oh, guess what? It didn't take rates. Okay, let's go back over there and let's try that again. Okay, I hit the enter key. Now once you hit the enter key and it comes to the center, it's a name. Alright, so let's go back over here to land count, and now you see we have rates. Do not forget to hit the enter key when you type your name into the name box. Now there are other ways to work with names, okay? And that's what we're going to talk about next. In order to do anything with the names, except just add them here or go to them, we have to use the name manager. Now that's under the formulas tab. So I'm going to click the formulas tab, and then I'm going to click name manager. All right. Notice that I have all of these names here that are working with it, right? And here's my rates. All right, so I'm going to make a change. Instead of highest land cost, I just want to say highest cost. So I'm going to click right there. I'm going to click edit. Now once you edit it, then you can delete. Oh, the one thing you cannot have in any range name is spaces. So you have to make sure that if it's a two-letter word and that's the way you want it to appear, you put an underline in between. So I'm going to click OK. All right. Notice that now that is there, right? Now I have something here called heading, and I really don't need to have a range name for the heading. So I'm just going to delete it. And it's going to ask me if I'm sure I want to delete it, and I say OK. And so now that has deleted. All right. Now, one of the things I can do is I can use the range name in a, I'll get out here in a minute, sorry, in a formula instead of the actual range. Okay, so I've got this open right here, and I'm going to press my F2 function key, and that brings it up to be edited. Now, when we're working with functions, we can also do something else. If I click here, and then I click this FX up here, FX says insert function, but if it already is a function, it will simply bring up the function you have. That's a little bit easier when we're looking at this. Alright, so I'm going to take this out, and I'm going to type in rates. Case sensitive, so you have to be careful with it. Now, notice that this comes back up exactly what we had here before, and I'm going to click OK. And now what I have is F9 rates and my 2. Okay, so I'm going to drag this down. Notice that when I use a range name, I don't have to worry about absolute addresses. Why? Range names are automatically absolute. Range names are assigned only to that particular group of cells. So they're locked onto there. So we don't ever have to worry when I use a range name about anything to do with a, I'll get out here in a minute, a formula, absolute addressing. Okay. Now, also, all right, when we say use in formula, when you're putting in a formula, let me just add another line down here. And we'll put the land cost in at, and the down payment at 100. And did I put too many? Oh, I did. Okay. That looks better. Okay, so we financed this, all right, and we're financing it for 20 years. All right, so now I want to come in here and I want to use it in a formula. All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to insert my formula, and let's use this right here. And I want a VLOOKUP, which is right there. All right. And I'm looking up, and we know we're looking up the number of years, because the number of years is what determines the interest rate. So when we're looking at a VLOOKUP, you ask yourself, what value determines, what value do I look at to find the interest rate? And that's always what you put there. Okay. Now, my table or array, I'm going to click like this, and then I'm going to say use in formula. And I'm going to click rates. Okay. And then I'm going to put a 2 here. All right. And I'm going to click OK. And there's my 4.625% because it's 6.3 up here, because it's only showing, this is showing 3 decimals, this is only showing 2, and I have everything else I need. Okay? So you don't have to remember your names. Now, there's one other thing you can do with range names. You can come in here, and we're just going to highlight these 3 things. Now, I can create from a selection. So I'm going to click here, and I'm going to create my names from the left column. Okay? All right, so now I should have today's date, which is right there. Payments per year, which is right there. And down payment rate. So I could come back in and I could redo all my formulas using my range names. One of the reasons to use range name is because it's easier. So because it's easier to read, and let me show you what I mean by that. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to look at this. Okay, now I'm going to change everything in this payment where I have a range name. All right, so I'm going to click here because that brings it up here. All right, so I'm going to come back over here, and then I'm going to look in my range names. Now, B5 is payments per year, right? So what I want here is G9 divided by payments per year. Okay, and over here on this one I have number of payments, or number of years, times payments per year. All right, and then D9 is down payment. Okay, now why didn't I name these? Because if I name them down payment, I'm naming every single thing in this column as a range name down payment. In other words, I'm making this entire column the word down payment, and that's not what we want. We need each individual one of them. All right. So now when you look at this, you can say G9, which is, there's G9. Oh, there it is. Interest rate divided by, I did that wrong. G9, interest rate divided by payments per year, comma, F9, which is years, times payments per year, minus D9, which is amount financed. Okay? So it just makes it easier to read it. It's even easier here when you do this. Now, one of the things you have to do when you work with one of the things you're supposed to do is document your range names. And the reason you need to do this is so that you know what range names are available in a spreadsheet. You come back to a spreadsheet after 6 months or so, you're not going to remember what's in there. Alright, so we're going to put this documentation on a separate worksheet. So down here at the bottom you see where it says SL1 and 2, SL3 and 4, and then over here there's a kind of a worksheet with a little gold star on it. If I click that, it's going to add another sheet. So I'm going to right click that and click rename, and I'm going to rename that range names. Okay. So then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to come down here to 4, and I'll show you why in a minute. But I'm still on my formulas tab. I'm going to come over here to use in formula, and I'm going to do paste names. And there's my list of names, and now I'm going to do paste list. Alright, so we're going to drag that out. Okay, so the name is in column A, and the worksheet and address is in column B. So over here we're going to put range name, and then we're going to put range address, worksheet and address. Okay, now we've made significant changes, and this is chapter 4, so we need to save this. So we're going to do File, Save As, right? And we're going to put 4 here because this is our hands-on exercise scripted lecture number 4. Okay, so that's it for chapter 2. Chapter 2 covers all of the formulas. It can be difficult because one of the things you have to learn how to do, and most people are not very good at, is read word problems. However, our book and our instructions do give you excellent instructions on exactly how to do this. If you have any problems, as always, get in touch with me. The next videos will be on the chapter 3 hands-on exercise skills. Till then, bye-bye.